Hi, welcome back to Engine Shop Joe. It's always good to keep in touch with the people and machines that you work on. We feel that way anyway. And a fella came back whose tractor we rebuilt, I'm thinking 2 years ago maybe. And he came back to get his first tune-up, and that was a little bit over 100,000 miles. He's a very heavy hauler. He hauls steel, takes very good care of his truck. It's a nice big double bunk Pete. You'll see that in a minute. And when he came in for the tune-up, and the reason he came in is I told him after we overhauled it, because we put a lot of parts in the top end, I said, come back, in at about 100,000, and I think he's got 132,000. Come back and we'll set the overhead. And then I actually told him after we set it this time, come back in 250,000 next time. Probably don't need to come back unless there's some other reason that you need to see us. So we did the tune-up on it, and one of his complaints was sometimes the truck runs good and sometimes it doesn't run so good as far as pulling. So we kind of had that in the back of our head. We're looking at stuff, and well, here, watch the opener, and then as we get towards the end, I'll tell you what we found. Okay? Hi, Engine Shop Joe. Got an 871 behind me that we're going to be working on. Basically just a tune-up. We overhauled this 2 years ago. It's been running great for the guy. He's a very heavy hauler. He hauls steel. So he said the engine runs good. And sometimes it is a little low on power here and there. And he said if he pulls over or shuts it off, it seems to go back to normal. So we're going to check fuel pressures, check for boost leaks. But as you can see, the engine's nice and clean. There's no leaks on it. The fella takes really good care of his truck. It's a nice big old double bunk Pete. And he's been very happy with it. And we've been happy with the engine. So talk to you later on Engine Shop Joe. Okay, we got the valve cover off. Obviously, engine does have jakes. It's a 2-solenoid jake setup. I'll do a video on that in the future. Normally, you have 3 solenoids. I'm making sure the contacts are tight. I can't pull them off or really wiggle them, and they are tight. You can see the jake's adjusting screws are loose. The guy that's doing the top end has already taken those loose. And I'm looking at some other things. And here, we're going to pop this boost sensor out and clean it out because they'll carbon shut. And over here, I'm going to be poking my finger on the exhaust gas pressure sensor under that boot. We will talk about that sensor a little bit later. This engine has the original style hard bronze pins for the rollers and the rocker arms. It doesn't have the new, what Cummins calls diamond-like coating steel pins. But I don't see any problems. What I'm doing now is I'm looking at all the rollers and the cam lobes, and I'm looking to see if I see anything on the rollers that looks bad. And you can see all the lines on the rollers right there. That's called frosting, where it looks like it's real shiny, a band. These bands are called frosting. That is not a problem. That's a part of normal wear with chrome. And so everything's looking good on the rollers. The cam looks good. None of the pins are sticking out to either side. That's a good thing. I'm going to take a look at the jake brake levers, where you see those caps right there. That's a jake lever. And those have detents in them that hold them level. So when the jakes aren't on, the jake brake does a balancing act between not touching the cam lobe that would open it or not touching the valve coming up that it would hold open. And so there's a hole in the rocker shaft, and there's a detent or spring-loaded pin in the jake that holds that jake in what we call the neutral position or non-activated position. And here in a second, you're going to see me start rocking the jake lever with my hand, and I want you to notice how it behaves, because this is how it should behave. And see here, you see how it jumps back when I let it go, and it's springy, stays right in the middle, nice and springy. And sometimes they move more, sometimes they do move less. It depends where that cam lobe is. See how it kind of sticks in the middle? If that lever is real floppy or falls down, you will hear an audible tick in the engine like a loose valve. So everything on this overhead looked really good. We set it, the injectors were about a quarter turn loose, and the valves were a few thousandths tight. We fixed all that, and he was good to go on the top end. One of the complaints was that his check engine light kept going on and off. There was a few reasons for that, but he had over 100 counts on the crankcase pressure sensor, signal voltage shorted low. This is the plug, and that is the sensor, that red piece with the little, you can see half of the Allen bolt at the top. That is a crankcase sensor in the front of the crankcase, well, actually the side of the crankcase housing, but it faces the fan blade. And you can see part of that plug is broken off. So that was partway disconnected, and it had been wobbling, and it had opened up the contacts in the plug, and there was a lot of wear on the pins in that sensor. So we ended up putting in a new sensor and a new plug end and 3 new pigtails. And here we are in the middle of that process. As you can see, we heat shrink everything so we don't have any trouble with corrosion or salt or anything once it gets in there. Everything is crimped and heat shrunk, and then we put loom on it. And you can't see the plug, but that's a newer plug. And we popped it up on there on a new sensor and locked it in, and that problem was gone. So here we are taking a look at the boost sensor, and that just presses down into the intake manifold. It's got a small little nub on the bottom. Looks like the bottom part of your little finger with an O-ring on it, but it's a hollow cage, and it just pops through a hole in that aluminum. And on this engine, you've got bolt number 1, that's a 10 millimeter head, and it's a short little bolt, goes into a blind hole. That's a hole that's not drilled all the way through the intake to the inside. That's what a blind hole is. It doesn't go all the way through, for those of you that don't know. And that number 2 is a little tab, and the tab slides under the bolt, and the one side of the tab presses down on the body of the sensor, and the other side is held down by the bolt, and that's all that holds that in. And you can see the top part of the sensor, where the edge of my finger is there, is against the boss on the intake manifold, so it can't turn because the head of it is square. So we were going to take that out and clean it, and we soaked it and tried to get it out, and it would not come out. So luckily on this engine, the intake manifold is just 4 bolts and a couple of hoses, and we took it off and turned it over, and we tried to pry the sensor out once we got the intake off, and it actually broke off. So we just drove the piece down through, cleaned the hole out, put a new intake sensor in there for them, and put that back together with new gaskets. Now you remember before I was tapping on the exhaust gas pressure sensor in the movie. It was under that dirty brown boot. That sensor is a very powerful sensor, and when you turn the key on, the engine's zeros its sensors by taking a reading off of that sensor. So that sensor should read the same as the ambient air pressure sensor, and where we live, where the truck was, that's 28.9, 28.8, usually 28.9 inches of barometric pressure. Well, his exhaust gas pressure, key on engine off, was reading almost 33. It's 34.5 at idle when we're making exhaust gas. So that sensor had drifted. It wasn't logging any faults, but it had drifted quite a ways. And when you see a sensor that drifts like that, one of the dangers is that it loses its linearity. In other words, as the pressure increases, if you drew a graph and you had an XY axis, and let's say that X is the pressure and Y is X is the barometric pressure and Y is the reading that the engine sends, that sensor sends to the ECM, it should be a horizontal line at 45 degrees right out that graph. If it loses its linearity, it might curve way up or it might curve way down instead of going straight out at a 45. And then what happens is you might have 80 inches of exhaust gas pressure, but the ECM thinks there's 150. So it starts adjusting the turbo and making changes to try to control EGR and boost and everything else. Now you can't set up a jig on the bench and test that by putting air pressure in and measuring signal voltage coming off of the sensor. An engineer told me how to do that years ago, but it's not worth the time to do it. So we changed that sensor. We changed the intake manifold sensor, set the top. The injectors were a little bit loose, about a quarter turn, and that's okay. And the valves were a few thousandths tight. Set the Jake brakes, put the cover back on with a new gasket, and he left and he was good to go. And he said that he's not really had any problems with his power acting up since we did all that work. So I think we fixed it when we changed those two sensors, the exhaust gas pressure sensor anyway. And we'll probably see him back in about 250,000 miles if he doesn't have any other problems. And life is good. Thanks for joining me on Engine Shop Joe.